For some analysis on the third ANC Veterans League conference, we are now joined by political analyst, Professor Siphamandla Zondi. Professor, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Now, taking a look back at the 2 days that have gone by with the conference, it's surely something to note with regards to the timelier start and the orderly fashion in which the conference has been held in comparison to many other conferences that the ANC usually holds. Do we attribute this to a smaller number of delegates or to just wisdom of the people that have come together for this conference?
Yeah, good evening and good evening to the viewers. Yes, indeed, the veterans have to show, by force of example, how to be organized, how to be focused on the politics, political discussions ahead of them, and to get everything done. And indeed, unlike all the ANC conferences we've seen this year, including the national conference in December, this one started off on time and it went very smoothly, robust debates, but no chaos of any form. And I guess they were under pressure to kind of show this, and perhaps the benefit of over 40 years of experience running politics, it makes them a little calmer than those more junior, more immature ones who may be thrown into chaotic behavior and irresponsible, ill-disciplined things, meetings running very late, by sometimes more than a day late or 2 days late. It was a good show for the Veterans League, but it's also partly because there isn't too much to contest for the league. They have served their times, and the other leagues have people who still want to get into government, want to position themselves for power, for access to resources, and perhaps that lend them to a politics of chaos, politics of jostling, a politics of personality, rather than a politics of principles and progress and purpose.
Right. And with that said, Prof, then what role do you believe this league is supposed to play with regards to the support and the guidance that they're supposed to give to the mother body?
Both the league itself and the Secretary General of the ANC underlined that it is a source of wisdom. There is no substitute for experience. Experience, especially about things that trouble us most right now, mainly leadership and how to actually lead through times of crisis. Secondly, I think how to do whatever you do, but not lose sight of what your agenda is and what you are trying to achieve and all of that. And third, how to lead in a measured way and bring everybody together to create a critical mass to cause change. And the manner in which it does its affairs shows that they have an ability to do those. Now they have to try and transfer that to the ANC as a whole, so that the ANC can achieve at least two things. Can achieve this renewal that the ANC is talking about, because there won't be any renewal if there is no renewal of organizational culture, if there is no renewal of interest in people's interest rather than this factional interest, if there is no renewal in the culture of service delivery and bring about change in that. And second, it could help the ANC to position itself as a party that can be trusted to do better going forward and all that. But to transfer those lessons, it requires the rest of the ANC to be humbler than they are now, to be more receptive of guidance, more receptive of direction than they are now. It's an uphill battle. It won't be a simple transfer, because those who are in power in the younger leagues do have a bit of dose of arrogance and power and perhaps drunkenness in power, that they may not heed the calls and advice of their veterans.
Speaking of that advice, I mean, the league has voiced out their stance with regards to the elections 2024, and particularly with regards to coalitions. And they've gone as far as saying that the ANC should just accept defeat in places where the numbers don't tally and they don't come together, and rather go back to the benches. Do you believe that the mother body would take this advice?
Yeah, when we had the Secretary General of the ANC said to the league, as he said to other leagues, please help the ANC retain support or grow support in the next electoral election, then you wonder whether he realizes what he's asking for. Because these veterans, for the past 5 years, at least 5 to 6 years, have said that it is in the ANC's hand to lose power, as it is in the ANC's hand to gain power. For they have also realized that it is the ANC's own doing that has lost its power, from corruption to failure to manage the brand, to not displaying servant leadership, to arrogance and to incompetence when you are running state institutions. The leagues have already said that you have to change as ANC if you are going to win the vote. It's not that you have to campaign better, but the best form of campaign, they have said, is to behave honorably and to perform effectively in the positions of power you have now. Then you don't have to tell people you are good. They will themselves see. They have repeated that message right now, that you have to deploy people with great skill, and you have to act on people who don't perform well. You have to behave as a party that deserves to be given a second chance, and as the veterans have said, if you don't, you then don't deserve to be elected again. If you don't get elected, it will be your own doing. And that's the message they have made, and I think that message must find resonance with those who run the ANC today.
Most certainly. Now, Prof, looking at the top 6 of the Veterans League, we now know that Snuki Zikalala is at the helm of the league, and they have a mixed bag of leaders within the structure. Do you believe that this lot will be able to give that guidance, give that wisdom that the SG Fikile Mbalula was calling for, and for them not to get involved in the factions and the politicking within the mother body?
Oh, definitely. They couldn't have got the better leader within the ANC to give this guidance. If you look at the president of the league, he has run the league much better than all the leagues, though he is the youngest league. He's the most stable, he's the most productive, there's all the reports in place, the stars team, it has specific policy proposal, it interjected all times, unlike all the other leagues. It is very well functioning and it's delivered that very well. We look at his deputy, Mavusha Msimang, is one of the most trusted voices in South African society generally, and he must be the trusted voice within the ANC. The only challenge they face is whether they can get those who run the ANC today and those who run the leagues that are lower than it to have the humility to understand the value of the wisdom of long age, of long duration that these veterans have. Because often we have found a culture that's developed in our party politics generally, but in the ANC itself, of arrogance, of believing that they can do it all by themselves, of failure to listen to censure and advice, and that could lead to the ANC losing out on this great asset they have in this collection of wisdom. And if you look at the top 5, that is wisdom that is over 160 years in total. And you can't get it wrong if you draw from that very seriously. But I feel that this league is going to have to try and prove itself to a body of people who are much lower expertise, much lower experience, when they should actually just be running. The time is not on their side, actually.
It most certainly is not. Prof, thank you so much for your time this evening. It certainly has been valuable. Thank you for joining us. That was political analyst Professor Siphamandla Zondi giving us there an update and sort of a recap of what was happening at the ANC's Veterans League and the leadership that has been entrusted with taking the mother body to greater heights.